Hello, this is Lydia. Today we're going to talk about the 21st century skills. At ETS, we have done a lot of research around this topic. In fact, almost 2 decades ago, we established a research center called the Center for New Constructs, led by Dr. Patrick Killonen. And the mission of that center was to look at the definitions, the assessment, and research of 21st century skills. Until today, the research has expanded throughout the K-12, higher ed and workforce, and global language teaching, learning, and assessment areas. Part of the reason that research around the 21st century skills is important is because of the workforce connection and development. There was an earlier report released by the McKinsey Global Institute, which projects that by 2030, up to 25% of the global workforce will have to switch their occupational categories. A lot of the tasks are going to be automated due to the development of AI and automation. The tasks that are involve lower cognitive abilities, repetitive and physical, are most likely to be replaced. And it's the tasks that involve a lot of human judgment, creativity, and interaction are more likely to be performed by humans. And also around 2019, IBM released a survey report titled The Enterprise Guide to Closing the Skills Gap. It looks at the skills valued by employers, and a big difference between the 2016 and 2018 survey is that many of the softer skills, or what employers call the power skills, are taking over. Things like adaptability and teamwork, time management, and communication are highly valued by employers. In addition to the workforce needs, there is also a need to promote the 21st century skills for a more informed and responsible citizenry. I think many of us agree that there is a need for us to combat bigotry, bias, prejudice, and all kinds of phobia. It's critically important for us to start early and start young with the 21st century skills education. So our next generation are open-minded, civilized, and are able to work with people from different cultural, economic, and ideological backgrounds. And also, we hope that our children can develop the habit of mind and take that with them from playroom to classrooms and boardrooms in the future. So now we know that 21st century skills are important, but what are the skills? You probably heard many different terms, such as power skills, life skills, softer skills, workforce essential skills, non-cognitive skills, interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, or social and emotional skills. And for any of the terms, I can think of someone who strongly opposes it. And some of the terms don't make much sense to me either. For example, life skills. When I think of life skills, I think of cooking, which is apparently not what we're talking about here. So in our own research, the first step is really to define the skills, what the core dimensions are and how it relates to similar concepts, but also what the differences are, with the understanding that they usually vary across contexts and settings. Take a critical thinking for an example. When people think of critical thinking, some people believe that it's really important to evaluate one's ability to look at the evidence and draw a conclusion. Whether they can extrapolate and synthesize is important. And others may believe that it's critical to look at one's ability to analyze the evidence and the source of the evidence. And there are others who might argue that the dispositional factor is also an important dimension underlying critical thinking. In terms of the specific skills that are valued, there are many frameworks, either by K-12 or higher ed or workforce organizations, that articulate what they believe to be the most important skills In K-12, a very notable example is the framework offered by the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, the CASEL, headquartered in Chicago. They look at the contextual factors in classrooms, schools, families, and communities, and look at students' self-awareness, self-management, their responsible decision making, their relationship skills, and also their social awareness. And then the skills extend to higher education, where people mostly focus on skills such as critical thinking, communication, problem solving, civic engagement, cultural competency. When it comes to the workforce, a lot of the more practical skills, such as resilience and leadership and negotiation, teamwork, customer service orientation, become critical. Over the last 2 decades, we have done a lot of work in the assessment and research of 21st century skills, and our partners include many international and domestic organizations and initiatives. For example, we contributed to the development of the framework and led the assessments around 21st century skills for the PISA program, such as global competency. We collaborated with both academic institutions and governments to help promote 21st century skills. For example, I was part of the project on behalf of ETS, funded by the World Bank, to work with Stanford University and the Indian Ministry of Education. At that time, they still called it the Ministry of Human Resource Development. We met with government officials and World Bank staff in Delhi and had a 3-year collaboration testing over 10,000 Indian college students of their critical thinking skills, among other core competencies. I want to say a bit more about our approach to assessing 21st century skills. We have a pretty robust system of assessment development, psychometric analysis, and research validation to help organizations gather information around 21st century skills and point to actionable next steps. We often start with the target test takers and school users in mind, and sometimes they are different. For test takers, they are mostly students, learners, or adults who take the test either as a school or job requirement or for self-improvement. And for school users, they have expectations of what information they care most from the school reports and interpretation. Having that in mind helps us design assessment that caters to specific user needs. For example, if we were to design a 21st century skill assessment for fifth graders, we need to consider the test context, the language, accessibility issues for students with disabilities, and students' cultural background, as we want to make sure our assessment is social and culturally responsive. In addition to the regular psychometric considerations, like whether the test has the right difficulty level, can the items differentiate among different levels? And when we design the score reports for teachers, for districts, and parents, we need to think about how they interpret the information. For example, for parents who don't speak English, what can we do? Maybe having an in-language version would be helpful. And we also need to consider the levels and description on the score report. They need to be accompanied by meaningful description. For example, the other day, my fifth grader came home with a score report. It says that he's at level 3. Then as a parent, I felt like I needed more information to interpret his performance. Is it level 3 out of 3? If that's the case, I should be very happy. If it's level 3 out of 10, then young man, we need to have a conversation. Having assessment is just the first step, and we need to also make sure students and learners can improve. So we have been actively researching the training and development modules to help people learn. Currently, we are conducting pilots at community colleges and four-year colleges to help people learn skills such as collaborative problem solving, critical thinking, negotiation, and customer service orientation. There are a lot of publications and reports that I can share. This introduction is really a tiny drop in the vast sea of research around the 21st century skills. Thanks for watching.